Love listening to the Blue Monday podcast? Well, your support is very much appreciated, and for as long as we're producing this podcast, we'll never charge you to listen to us. But if you do want to join others in supporting us financially, you can do just that via the Acast supporters feature. It's up to you how much or how little you want to give, and there is no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description. The money you donate may or may not be put towards Joe Fair's football shirt collection. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, now in our 6th season, looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club every week on video and audio. I'm Richard Woodward, and on the weekend where Project Big Picture started coming into view, I'm joined by two artists of podcasting, the Constable and Gainsborough of the Blue Monday team, you might say, David Diamond and Joe Fairs. Guys, how are we doing? Dave, you're looking pretty... That introduction's worked for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, I had all those years ago, like GCSE Grade 1 art. So yeah, it was quite good. I remember doing very much a rip off. John Constable, very rip off of Blackpool Mill for sure. Yeah, that's pencil drawing. I seem to remember. So
lovely
yeah,
stuff.
Yes, man. Yeah.
Any rip off?
Joe, you see yourself as Thomas Gainsborough there, Joe?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Is he the dot man? I can't remember. He's from Sudbury, isn't he, Gainsborough?
He is from Sudbury. That's as much.
Yeah,
that's as
far as
local.
Both local. Yeah,
Wikipedia. That's
culture.
Exactly right. Culture vulture. Finchy reads a book a week. So, right, we've got off to a cracking start with office quoting there straight away, and some painters as well. So, we've got plenty of stuff to talk about, guys. And I alluded to it in the intro as well. Should we start with this? Because then we can get it out of the way and not talk about it until it kicks off all next week. So for those of you who haven't been on Twitter in the last 24 hours, at the point this goes out, Project Big Picture is a name given. Whenever something's given a project name, you're always slightly worried about it. A proposal... devised by Liverpool and Man United. It's kind of like upstairs and downstairs, where you kind of grab a clue and then go upstairs. No, but with kind of Football League backing in the name of Rick Parry, who obviously was involved in the breakaway of the Premier League back in the day in '92 as well. So he's got history here. What this would mean is the kind of bailout that the EFL is looking to support. Kind of COVID cash flow issues would happen. Also some other bits and pieces. Football League clubs would take a 25% of future Premier League TV deals, end of parachute payments, but the Premier League would shrink to 18 places. The Carabao Cup would go away, and moreover you kind of get this cabal of the 9 longest serving top tier teams getting preferential votes and basically having the power of veto to do all kinds of stuff. Gentlemen, are you happy to get a little bit of the Premier League gravy train money so that Marcus doesn't have to dip in his pocket too much? Or does this worry you like it was worrying quite a lot of people? Who wants to go first? Joe?
Yeah. Personally, I don't really care how much Evans has to dip into his pocket. It's a purely selfish thing from an Ipswich point of view. But the reality is that EFL is in a perilous financial state because of COVID and the fact fans can't get into grounds. Like Evans has spoken that it's going to cost us, what did he say, about £10 million for the season in extra costs, and most clubs just simply cannot stomach anything like that. And I know ours is more than what others will be, but it is a case that something does need to happen, and it seems like the figures in this proposal are the right figures, the figures that are needed, the 250 million. Yeah. The ongoing commitment to 25%, which is a hell of a lot more than what the EFL is getting currently, and it means that the Premier League is very good at negotiating its TV deals, and the EFL will be able to take a significant part of that. And so I think all this stuff is the right thing, and dropping down to 18, well, that is in line with a lot of the other top European leagues. Personally, I'd rather keep it to 20, but it's not a huge deal dropping to 18, is it? I don't think the playoff situation, it does make it harder to get up to it, but like you've mentioned, the big thing is this 9 clubs who are able to have a veto on everything, and only
new
6
ownerships
of those
as well.
9 need to fight, isn't it? So only 6 of those 9 clubs need to agree as well, which means that the big 6, as they are now, of Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham, can just ride roughshod over everyone. Where I don't really understand why, with all this going on, why they need to take the power as well. And it's just a case of them just trying to. I don't know. It just seems that a team like Man City, especially, forget that they've spent probably as many years in the EFL as they have in the Premier League since the Premier League was formed, and it's like they want to stop the music when they're sitting down on the chair, and so no team can ever catch them up. And there was a lot of talk. I say it might be unsubstantiated, but when Newcastle were trying to get this takeover through with the Saudis, and like I say, Saudi Arabia does have huge issues with regards to human rights abuses, and without getting too political on this, we've got a government in the country at the moment who are happy to deal with the Saudi Arabian government. They're happy to sell them arms. Well, if the government is happy to deal with them, why can't they buy a football club here? If that makes sense. But from what was said by Newcastle fans, it seems as though Tottenham and Liverpool were putting a lot of pressure on the Premier League to not make a decision, because basically they don't want another sovereign wealth fund to own a football club, because it's just one more mouth in the trough, effectively, which means wages get pushed up and they lose out. So the fact that they're doing that before this is already in place potentially makes you think that it is just a total anti-competitiveness. They want to cement their place at the top of the table forever. And I don't know, especially it seems Man United and Liverpool, which are leading it, who are American-owned
franchise kind of models and stuff, isn't well.
Yeah, they just. I say it's just the American model, isn't it?
Was it not? I understand it. It was actually proposed by John Henry, wasn't it? Fenway Group, the Liverpool owner. I think he was the actual instigator of it. And I think I read somewhere that this goes back like 3 seasons. To it was first sort of mooted in way back in like 2017, apparently.
They don't like the fact that they think that they bring in more value to the Premier League than other clubs, and they should be getting. They don't like the fact that the foreign TV rights are shared equally.
No, they don't.
Like that.
I want to know who the 9 are going to be. So it's obviously those 6.
Well,
obviously Everton, who have never been really. Is it no way?
Yeah,
is it seriously? Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake! Really? Yeah. Southampton? Seriously? I guess it would be. Yeah,
they've just been up there for years, haven't they? I think they're the 3 longest serving.
Oh my God!
They've done their best to try and get out of it, though. But yeah, it's as Joe says.
Tell you what, I wouldn't have had that. West Ham, yeah, okay, they've been sort of, but mid. Sort of been down, but Southampton, Christ, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about
like Leicester aren't in there, and they won the league a few years ago.
I mean, conceive. I mean, that'd be odd this year if, say, for instance, Man U look really got relegated. Everton are going to be there anyway. But Man U gets relegated or something like. Just look, the money needed to filter down. I also saw there's some gift to of like 100 million to the Football Association as well.
Yeah, I can. So under the kind of
basically the
structure
FA has out a load of money on COVID, and they're paying them that effectively.
Yeah.
They're buying English football from the FA,
exactly,
and they're buying the EFL in the Premier League.
The Premier League, the initial Premier League agreement, which is I think it was essentially the structure had been in place since obviously '92. You can just rip that up and forget about it.
Acrimonious at the time as well, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, look, something had to happen and money had to filter down. But yeah, I think there's it'll be an interesting week. I think
the 5 clubs that drove the breakaway: Man United, Liverpool, Everton, Spurs, Arsenal. Those 5 are now
and Rick Parry.
5 of,
yeah.
Just to confirm the monies here. So the Premier League would give the EFL the 250 million bailout requested. The money would be advanced, drawn from a new arrangement in which the EFL would collectively negotiate their broadcast deals with the Premier League, as Joe says. From that money, the first 100 million would be given to the FA. 55 million of it would cover the governing body's own coronavirus losses. The remaining money would be distributed between the competitions, with the EFL taking a quarter share. But it has to be said, the Premier League, the rest of the Premier League, have been pretty scathing so far, and of Rick Parry's involvement. The government have already got involved as well. The EFL, I think, are the bits of the EFL. So this is going to rumble on, isn't it?
I mean, it might knock Brexit off the second headline of the news, probably. Yeah.
Yes.
I just don't understand how when at the moment it's one vote, one club, and you need 14 votes to pass anything, how are you going to get 14 clubs to vote for something which basically gives 9 teams total power over everything?
Yeah.
Where are these extra 5 clubs going to come from to vote for it?
Yep. Well,
and also the playoff structure that I also read is going back to what it was in the early days of the playoffs, where I think the 16th
Premier League
club plays off against
Third,
where
fourth, and
we
fifth.
felt failed, didn't we, against Charlton in '87? Was it? Yeah, first year of the playoffs.
It's kind of claiming that it's going to kind of narrow that gap a little bit, but yeah, we shall see. Let's go back to Ipswich Town, guys, because as I say, this will be coming up again, I'm sure, in future pods. I'm trying to find a segue into this, but I just can't. Dave, basically, to borrow a Harry Redknapp phrase, we are down to the bare bones of our midfield. Cole Scouse out for 3 to 4 months.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Flynn Downs now out for 2 to 3 months. I mean, these are Ipswich estimates, so let's maybe add another month on for good luck. John Nolan rested as a precaution yesterday. We already know about Norwood and Ward and plenty of others.
Vincent, the lesser spotted
yes.
Young.
We've got questions about him.
I mean, Nolan's a case in point. So I generally think perhaps that was given the the skews and obviously reasonably long term, Downs reasonably long term. I can hopefully, it was just a knock to Nolan. What is it, calf strain or something like that, a slight calf strain, and you'd think perhaps he will be fit for Accrington. Well, to be in the squad now, thinking what happened. Spoiler alert, what happened yesterday. But, it's the same old thing. I mean, Skews wasn't... I don't know. I don't think... Skews has... Apparently, Skews picked that up in the Cambridge game or pre the Cambridge
Just
game, I
before
think.
it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he hasn't figured. So, okay. Downs is a loss. I mean, and tough for the lad, really, because who knows, late in the day, Palace may well have come back with some sort of decent bid. He hasn't been playing, maybe unlikely, but I mean that I would have thought would keep him, will certainly keep him here at least till he's fit. So again, I don't know. It's just the curse continues to strike, doesn't it?
As long as we keep winning, though.
Ward doesn't he? And Ward, who at first we all said sitting here, I sat here with Mikey and Craig last week, and we'd bemoaning the fact, bloody hell, Ward, what were you going to do? His, again, doesn't seem too bad. In fact, he looked quite chirpy. He was summarising for the Republic of Ireland midweek. He was summarising in the studio. And my son did say, Dad, come quickly. Stephen Ward summarised, and I think did the old Norwood story. I think his crutch has been hit. But so he doesn't look too bad. So hopefully, you'd think that Ward and Nolan would be a matter of days, weeks, 2 weeks rather than heading into months. But it's not good again, is it?
Fingers crossed, because we've got Saturday Tuesdays coming up quite soon.
As for next week. Yeah.
Joe, we talked about, me and Craig did the live show after Gillingham, but I wanted to, given your kind of involvement with the Academy Twitter account and your just general knowledge and Football Manager researching and stuff like that, I just wanted to throw a few names at you who made their debuts or came off the bench. Elkan Baggott is obviously the big name. He made his Indonesian under-19 debut today. Do you know much about him? I guess you do a little bit.
Yeah, well, sort of, most of what you sort of know has been in the paper recently, where he's sort of born in Bangkok to, I think, an Indonesian father and English mother, or the other way around. Lived out there till he was 12 or 13, and then subsequently moved over here, but has stayed representing them. And I think it was Craig who sent round a stat that the average height for an Indonesian male is like 5'6", and he's 6'5". But he's a big, tall, left-footed centre half who has been basically. It was his first year full time last year, and then since he's come back this year, has gone into the under-23s. So there's only 2 or 3 other players that have done that. So even without the international recognition, he was one that was kicking on at the same. He's the same age as Liam Gibbs, and he's sort of an under-23s player now rather than under-18s. But he's looked good. He's bulked up. He's strong. He uses his body well, and I say he's 6'5", and with a nice left foot, he can pass the ball about. So you've got a lot of physical advantages going for you already. Which, if you're 6'1" as opposed to 6'4", 6'5", you maybe not get you maybe don't get pushed on as quickly. But he's looking good, and he's had a good start to the season, sort of all through pre-season.
Yeah,
how on earth did he end up here? I mean, presumably he moved over with his parents, local-ish, I presume, yeah.
I presume so. Yeah, I couldn't tell you for definite. He's obviously massive on Instagram and things like that.
I'd never heard of him. Never registered with me until suddenly, there was talk of him being in the squad for the game, and then I did a sort of wiki on him, and bloody hell, he was a kid, amazing.
What's his potential ability? 5-star rating in Football Manager 21, Joe. Any spoilers?
I don't know, but I was obviously clever because I rated him as our best under-18 centre-back last year as a first year, so I'd obviously seen something in him at that point. But it's difficult this year because you're just not seeing much of the 18s or 23s at all. I saw a few of the pre-season games you could get to because they were at local non-league grounds, but now everything is just behind closed doors, which is a pain.
Other full debuts, I think we've seen bits and pieces of Liam Gibbs and obviously Torrey Simpson as well, who played at Blackpool, came off the bench I think in the league game earlier in the year. Ross Crane as well, who signed from Bury in the summer. Xander Saziba and Alan Viral. Any kind of pointers or insights you want to give us on those guys, Joe?
Well, Ross Crane, he'd been at the academy as a youngster because I've seen him play for our under-18s before. I think he was at Colchester as well. Then he was at Ipswich. Then he went to Sudbury, which was, I don't know if it still is. I think the club and them may have fallen out a bit, but it was effectively our reserve academy where we sent the 4 or 5 players that didn't quite get a scholarship here would go to Sudbury and we'd give them a bit of coaching there. But in his first year as a under 17, I suppose, at Sudbury, played 25-30 games and then did the same at Bury last season. He transferred to Bury and played another 24. So he's played 50-60 games of men's football before coming here now. But yeah, he's an under 19, and that's a hell of a lot of football to have played in men's football. So that's really pushed him on. Xander Saziba missed all of last season basically with a back injury, but he was really highly rated as a youngster at Spurs, and I think it was one of those ones where when he was on trial here as an under sort of 16 before he signed a scholarship, that was sort of one when I tweeted it, there was quite a lot of interest in it because he was one that had been tipped quite highly at Spurs. So the fact he's missed all of last season and is now an under 18, sort of straight back, and he's one of the ones that's pushed onto the first team, indicates he's done well. And one of my friends went to Walsham on Wednesday night and said he just absolutely ran the show there on the Wednesday, sort of the best he'd ever seen him. So whether that 30 seconds of first team involvement had really sort of given him a confidence boost. But he's one to watch there. Alan Viral is a first year pro or third year scholar, whichever deal he signed, but is another one that came over from the same place as El Mazzuni and Lunas Fudel. So he's played all over the place. He played a lot of right back last season, but he's sort of come in as a sort of box to box midfield, a good presser of the ball and good on it and popping up a few goals. So he's another one that's sort of regular for the 23s at the moment.
I think he cycled to the ground and parked his bike outside Portman Road, which caught a few people.
I really hope he did.
I think that was
it's like old school when they used to in like the 50s, and so I imagine him outside sort of just unclipping his bicycle clips and sort of just sauntering in the ground. That's fantastic. Did I see one of the lads actually went to Lowestoft this week, Joe? Was it Ando or something?
Yeah, Levi Ando he scored a good goal against Walsham on Wednesday. Centre half. He's one that is sort of, I think he'd been at Worcester City and was on trial here, but he's Dutch and he's went to university in Canada for a term and had played a really strange path led him here, but he's over here now and gone to Lowestoft, where Colin Opong is at Lowestoft, who scored for them yesterday. I think he was man of the match game before, scored yesterday. Conor O'Reilly is at Bury. Kai Brown and Bailey Clements are at Dagenham. Brown started yesterday, and I think he played well as they won. They were on BT Sport yesterday. Adam Priesbeck is at Braintree. There's a few out there, but it's sort of trying to keep tracks of them. So if anyone does hear any players go on loan, just drop me a message because it's hard to stay on top of.
Listen, what happened to the highly rated lad, that Dylan Crowe?
He's still there. He was on the bench on Tuesday, but he just hasn't really. He's one that's missed a whole season with injury. He took a long time to sign his deal, and it seemed that there was a lot of back and forth on that. And then he signed his deal, and then basically missed the whole season. And he's not really got going again since. But whether he will get going again, hopefully he will, because he's got a lot of attributes. But he's now a second year pro, and it's a bit of a you sort of start running out of time once you get to that age.
Yeah, because he was linked. Was he not linked with Arsenal and all sorts of clubs, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he was in the England youth
Huddersfield
setup
as well.
and went to the Euros. He had, but it was like Bayern Munich or PSG or some real big teams. But I think Benfica as well, maybe. I think, but there was a lot of paper talk about it. I think, and it's just being an England youth international. You do. Because their talent ID is quite good generally at the younger age groups, that if you're in those squads, you're generally pretty highly rated. And when you see some of the players he was in the under-17s team with that are coming through now, you sort of think, well, you've obviously got something about you to have been in those squads.
Yeah.
Let's that's really useful insights, Joan. Yeah, certainly. If anyone spots any loan deals, then at ITFC_Academy, Joe.
Yep.
That's where to get you. Dave, just to finish, I mean, I'm not sure there's a huge amount to analyse on this stuff. Bit of news for you. Paul Lambert, manager of the month for September, doesn't factor in the MK Dons performance and draw. But doesn't visualise anybody coming in here in terms of the transfer deadline that we have in England that closes on Friday.
It's 16th, isn't it?
Yeah. And Ipswich Town women won 10-0 today against Cambridge United,
getting
their HMS Piss the League campaign off to a great start.
In there. I think, did he not win it? He won it this time last year, didn't he? Was it November time? Was it perhaps before or after?
I think it was either September again. I think it was last year.
September again. I had him sort of. I think Southend I'm having is like the last game in October. When was the Accrington game? Was that before then or after?
Yeah, that was October.
October, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know he won it this time last year. So yeah, probably deserving. Yeah. When I heard, I thought, well, hang on. Hull and sort of Lincoln had sort of perfect records, but yeah, fair play. And obviously the curse, spoiler alert, didn't strike.
Let's go there. Let's go to Blackpool and discuss what happened. So Ipswich unbeaten in the league, albeit off the back of that draw against MK Dons. Third, we dropped down to 2 points off top spots. Last time out at Blackpool, I mentioned it before. Lovely sunny day when we arrived. Pissed it down with rain when we left. Last minute defeat from is it Liam Feeney? I think it was crossed for a header and stole the points. But Blackpool, a lot of signings. Neil Critchley in from I think he's a youth coach from Liverpool. One win in the league, otherwise defeats in all other competitions and all other fixtures. They went into the game third from bottom, and I guess in terms of the lineups, 3 changes for Ipswich. Kenlock comes in unsurprisingly at left back, Hughes for Nolan, we mentioned that as well. Judging for Sears, that was apparently Sears being rotated or given a bit of a rest. The big news for Blackpool, Luke Garbett in at left back, and Grant Ward, you can still find him, another ex-ITFC, took up a position in their midfield. Both teams playing 4-3-3s. Any exciting insights on the lineups, guys? I guess Keenan Bennett's on the bench, but clearly that bench lacking central midfield options. But plenty of
Bennett and McGuinness was on the bench.
He was, along with Wolfenden as well. I guess
little bit surprised, perhaps. Dobra didn't figure.
Yeah, he played well on Wednesday night, was it? Wednesday? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, he did.
There's some talk of him being linked out.
Crawley, isn't it, Joe?
Crawley, isn't
it? No, Alan Nixon in the Sun says. Crawley online.
Done deal.
Yeah. I've kind of grouped. I've kind of tried to intersperse some questions as we go as well. There's kind of 3 kind of things that are kind of observations I had from yesterday, guys, and we'll kind of go through them as one by one. It was a 4-1 result, but very much. I just want to get your thoughts whether Ipswich were just super efficient counter-attacking or ruthless when the chances presented themselves at the right time. 4 shots on target and 4 goals. XG, I know that there are not too many fans of XG listening, but XG was 0.8 v 0.8, as in it should have been a draw on XG, which I know it's all about. There are other stats as a better benchmark. 47% possession overall as well. Only 1 shot inside the box, 4 outside. What happened yesterday to make that scoreline happen for you?
I think you're right. I think you sort of nailed it, really. I think they were just clinical, really. They played on the break. They were, Blackpool lumped a lot forward, didn't they? And again, I thought our central defenders did pretty well yesterday. Again, Wilson and Enciala, and didn't really have a lot else, did they, particularly? Yeah, but some of the ball, but not much, I didn't think. And I just think we were very, very clinical. I mean, you'll perhaps get to the chance. I can remember us missing one chance. Well, we only four shots on target, but one sort of fairly obvious chance. And even then, perhaps a half shout for a penalty.
Is that the Hawkins?
Yeah. Shame, because again, I thought he did really well again when he was on. I thought he did ever so well again. It just suited us, and I've got to say, a big shout perhaps for Judge as well. Yesterday was, I thought, pretty decent, pretty efficient. But I think we were just more clinical. Funny enough, I think I said we got it through the smart TV. I'm sure we can get it through. It's got a smart TV. But made a mistake with BBC Lancashire commentary, and then someone said on the forum, on the TWT forum, that you can, when you access it like that, you can perhaps press for like away commentary. That was all too much for me. Anyway, I quite enjoyed listening to BBC Radio Lancashire. They had the commentator was someone called Chizzy. I assume his name was Chisnell. Don't quite know who that was, but it was Brett Ormrod who was
Wow.
Brett Ormrod was summarising, and they were very they're really complimentary.
They missed the second goal, though, didn't they?
Really, sorry?
Did they miss the second goal? They thought it was a goal kick, didn't they?
Yeah, second goal. They thought the ball had gone sort of inside net in one of those ones where it hits the ball behind the goal and sort of ripples the net from behind the goal, sort of thing. Oh, dear. He didn't clear that up for about 20 seconds. So I think it was a bit odd because he was saying this as the Town players were celebrating, which was really disconcerting. But that was all good fun. But they were very, very complimentary. Pretty harsh on Blackpool, but very complimentary about us. Particularly, well, they absolutely loved Edwards.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the goals then, because we've got a question for Dave. I guess you can both answer it, which is from Andrew at Run Fat Boy Run. Does Chambo strike class as a thunder bastard, or are we not quite at that level yet?
I think you better describe the goal.
I mean,
it deserves.
It's a lovely move, though, isn't it? I mean, it starts with patient build up at the back, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is it me? Is it?
Yeah, go for it, Joe. Yeah.
Patient build up at the back, sort of back and forth, and then again it sort of goes into Dazelle, and again he's the one that sort of kicks the move into life by firing a pass into Hawkins' feet.
Great touch.
But Hawkins, two men around him, no real right to hold it up like he does. Holds it up just long enough to allow sort of Edwards to get past him. Rolls it into Hughes. Hughes plays it to Edwards, and he just absolutely burns their fullback, who did not have the best game up against Edwards. I think he'd be having nightmares about him for the
Gabriel.
Forest, wasn't he?
Rest of the week. And Edwards just flies past him and then just lifts the ball across into the box, and in at the back post, sort of edge of the box, comes Luke Chambers, and it sits up really nicely to hit.
His eyes.
But it's one of those ones that would have been very, very easy to hammer over the bar, but he hits it beautifully, really, really well controlled, and just flies past the keeper. It's a great goal.
Yeah, I've got to say, great technique.
Yes.
Joe's right, so good technique to get on top of the bounce. So the ball bounces, and fairly wet surface it seemed to be, and so he has to stay on top of that. It was really, really top. Fair play, brilliant technique, and absolutely buried it. It didn't go barring in, so I can't give it a thunder bastard, but it's part way there.
I don't think you could hit one of those as a thunder bastard, because if you'd have tried to thunder bastard one of those, you'd have put it over.
Exactly. So it was almost a controlled strike. Really, really good finish. Just what? I couldn't really believe what I was seeing. I thought, surely, hang on, was that Bishop? No. Chambers? What? No, a great goal. And brilliant goal.
To steal Andy Warren's description of him, the Kettering Cafu. We'll nick that one. And Edwards, Dave, is having got himself an assist. I mean, this is a really tidy finish, isn't it?
This was good again. This was good from Kenlock, because Kenlock comes off the left and bursts through as a run. Okay, challenge, but again, class from Bishop. Just ball comes to Bishop, first time ball left to Edwards, and this time he just doesn't piss about. He just cuts inside and hits it early, doesn't?
Yeah, and Hawkins involved as well.
Yeah, this is what I think catches the BBC Lancashire out, because again he sort of hits it quite early. Probably Maxwell a bit, probably a little bit unsighted as the ball flies in his near post, but just direct, wasn't it? That's what we were yesterday. I thought direct, which was good.
Yeah, crossfield passes were working out and treat, weren't they? And we'll talk about one in a second for that one, for the fourth, and then Joe Bishop, and we've seen a few of these dribbles, haven't we?
Just quickly, just between that was the Hawkins chance, wasn't it? When again Bishop does really well,
nudging
great
the back
in.
a little bit. And,
I think he was a shame, really. Shame he didn't bury it, 'cause he's, he last 2 or 3 games, he's deserved a goal probably just for his general play, hasn't he?
Yeah, and there's the dummy the build up to that. He lets the Bishop pass him and go through to Edwards. And there's kind of I watched this goal back a few times because it looked like they're in a foul, but I think the Blackpool left back just falls over, doesn't he? I think, and goes looking for it.
It's a midfielder coming back, isn't it? And I think
is it okay?
It's a lot of times you do just get blown up because Judge does leave a bit of a lazy leg in there, doesn't he? And a lot of times you give the ref a chance to make it, and he often does, where he doesn't actually touch him, but like you wouldn't be surprised to see it given. But Judge, like Dave said, put in a really good shift down that right hand side. Positionally, actually showed a lot of discipline for once, which he doesn't do. Worked really hard, won the ball back a lot, so sort of some reward there. And Bishop just picks up the ball and just runs straight at the goal. And I love the way he just sends that defender one way then the other without really touching the ball a lot. Just his body shape and stuff like that.
Drops his shoulder,
dropping it this way. Looks like he's going to go past him, and then just takes that touch inside, and as it opens up, just passes it into the bottom corner left foot, and it is a brilliant goal. Like Teddy Bishop, like he has started the season in front of goal. Like I say, I think he had 1 goal in like 90 odd games before it. Now he's got 3 and 5 in the league, and it was just such a cool, composed finish, just unsavable. Look.
Starts the ball outside the post, doesn't he?
And good for Bishop because he struggled before, didn't he? He really did struggle. And you think, okay, he's got his goals. He's got his 2 goals already this season, but you thought, is he quite at it? But it's just what a goal. What a class goal.
And the goals came at really good times. We didn't start the best, but Blackpool didn't really put us under a huge amount of pressure. But 60 minutes, 36 minutes, 45, we're kind of punctuating that first half.
That one just before half time.
It was
really clear. But we didn't start that well, I think it was quite obvious the way. Because they're trying to play like Liverpool play, don't they? That basically that they're setting up, their manager's trying to set them up in that 4-3-3, and their fullbacks can't defend. Gabriel had an awful game at the back, and Garbutt, we know he can't defend. And we just started, as soon as we sort of started pushing the ball, the diagonal balls, Wilson hit a couple of lovely ones, NTR hit one, obviously there's another one coming up later, Holy. Even the second goal is from a Holy kick to Kenlock, which wins the header, and we just attacked their fullbacks and just got in behind them time and time again.
Yep. It wouldn't be Ipswich without a little bit of nerves, Dave. The goal from Medine had come from. They started the second half a little bit better, didn't they?
Yeah, I was getting a bit eggy about it, really. I think I said on the WhatsApp that just keep this tight, first 15, and then just see it out comfortably. And there was had a couple of chances before then, but it's a bit of a scrappy one. I think the best thing the fullback did all day was put a half decent ball in, and we just didn't quite for once either NCR or Wilson got their head or boot to it because they were outstanding all day, and it just felt a Medina and you point blank couldn't really miss really. And then you think, but then we seem to step it up immediately after that with that really quite a good move. I think Jackson
down the right,
which ended with Edwards just putting it wide. So we seem to like, hang on a minute, almost stung us into action again. So we always looked like we had a little bit, but then Ken Lott has picked up a yellow card. Dezelle was picking up yellow cards. Oh, here we go. This could end. We could end with 10 again, like we did. The week before. So fortunately, we saw it through that sort of semi little sticky period, I suppose.
Yeah, Neil Rimmer, who was the summariser for Suffolk. Also said that we kind of, we needed to raise our game when we considered that goal because we should be comfortable at that point. 3-0 at half time, and what a switch of play here from Chambo, hey?
Well, just.
And what a touch from Edwards as well.
Because it's eye follow, so you're not really seeing, sort of, it's the sort of, almost the camera's following the ball across, so you're not seeing the wide picture. And Christ, he's put that out. But my God, what a ball! What a touch!
Yeah.
The touch from Edwards was just sublime. I think this is what got Lancashire sort of the commentary sort of drooling over it. And he just takes it first time. It's that's great technique, and he's aggressive as he drives for the box, cuts inside on his right foot, and again really hits it hard and low. And before Maxwell can set himself, you would have saved it anyway. But absolutely, what a performance! I mean, Edwards, what a performance! Christ Almighty.
And down the left-hand side as well. And
I've got to say, I sat here last week with Mikey and Craig, and I think myself and Craig both said well, yeah, okay. We went through last year with the international break and missing games and stuff, and we both said, yeah, could do without Blackpool away. Ward's out, Downs we didn't know about, obviously how long at the time, but we knew Ward was going to be out. And Kenlock had struggled against MK and it hadn't been brilliant. And you think, oh no, but it's odd football, isn't it? Really, really strange sometimes.
Mm. The next kind of talking point that I had for you is a related point here, and it's interesting you mentioned the link to Liverpool for Blackpool. Is the fact that none of our strikers have yet scored, and it's interesting actually. The top scorers in League One at the moment are all wingers. It's George Grant, Jordan Graham, and now Guion Edwards. We've got Bishop 3 and 5 as Joe's mentioned. Hawkins is isolated, but working hard. But how important is it at the moment that our strikers are scoring? And let me ask you this question, Joe. FPL Tractor, given we're playing a League One version of Liverpool's formation, should we be surprised that the centre forward scores fewer goals than the wide forwards?
I meant to look up the stats on this, but I'm sure the year that Hawkins played a lot at Pompey, so not last year, the year before, as a team, I think they went to the final of the Checker Trade. But I think as a team, they scored over 100 goals. And he was their main striker. Started like 35 games. Scored about 7 goals in that. Because all their goals came from sort of Curtis and people on the wings. And if you're gonna bring players into the game, then obviously the striker does need to pop up with some goals. And you can't keep missing decent chances, which unfortunately he has done so far. Then I say it doesn't really matter who scores the goals as long. The difference we have this year is we are getting men in the box, aren't we? And that is what we haven't done in previous years. You see it. Edwards is getting in the box. Bishop's getting in the box.
Chambers.
Nolan had been getting in the box. Chambers. But Chambers has always had a goal in him when he's played right back. Because he's always one that has pushed up and things. So I'd say if you're getting men up there, obviously it's nice for the strikers to score. But ultimately, if your job is to bring people into play, which he has done sort of brilliantly over the last few games, then no one's going to care if he's scoring or not.
And I think the pressure's really not on him so much because we knew what we were getting. Okay, we signed him, and he's not a 15, 20 goal. I think we'd be more concerned if Norwood had played 5, 6 games and hadn't scored. All right, perhaps we'd be playing slightly differently. You wouldn't be that sort of focal point of a striker, but as Joe just said, probably played 35 games season before last, scored 7 goals. So he's not prolific, but I think he's been outstanding since he's been in the side. Really led the line brilliantly, and exactly what we missed, what we didn't have last season.
Holds the ball up as well, doesn't he? Really well.
Really good.
I mean, Jackson had a couple of moments, didn't he, when he came off the bench?
And again, no, he did. And again, football's a funny thing because Drinnan started against Wigan really, really well and decent game. Oh no, he's out. We're going to miss him. It's odd football how sometimes you just stumble across these. Well, no, he's always perhaps going to play Hawkins, but you sometimes stumble across these formations because injury or suspensions just necessitates it.
But also, whatever we're playing at the moment, whoever is playing knows the role that is expected of them, and they know what they should be doing, and the whole team knows that as well around them. So they're being given the best opportunity now, where last year that just wasn't the case at all. People coming in, playing here, there, and everywhere. Where now, like I say, you're coming in, you know what is expected of you as a number 9 in this formation. So it does. Well, that should make things easier. Neil
Rimmer said that quite early on during the first half, or partway through the first half, that everyone seemed to know what their jobs were, which is positive because I assume he hasn't seen much of us. Rick Stew has asked 2 questions. I'll ask the second part, Dave. Can we have a top 6 finish with few goals from our forwards? I guess if everyone else is scoring, then...
If everyone else is chipping in, crikey, the way it's going. If Edwards chips in with 15 and Bishop chips in with 10 and the other wide players, Nolan scoring. There's no reason why not. But just Joe said, just from centre forward, multifaceted centre forward. But you'd like to see him. You would like to see him bag a few. I think just for his confidence more than anything.
Exactly.
Well, I think in front of goal, and I think perhaps that chance yesterday summed it up. I think he was slightly. Got to say, I did like the ref yesterday because I think there was a couple of stone wall. There was a couple of stone wallers.
Some yellow cards that should have been.
Certainly one. Dizell's challenge, was it, I think, or one challenge, which he nailed on penalty, isn't it? He just sort of waved it away. So I thought he was really quite good. But,
That's how we're judging him. Okay. The last kind of talking point that I had for you guys is NCR and Wilson. I've kind of put here, you shall not pass. Ollie Friston, what needs to happen for Wolfen and McGuinness to get a look in? A total howler for Toto Wilson, or will Lambert eventually want more ability on the ball at centre-back? To me, it'd be really harsh to drop him at the moment, wouldn't it?
He's probably got a suspension in him somewhere along the line.
I hate
to say touch wood he hasn't, but probably so. It's probably waiting to happen, isn't it? But yeah, you wouldn't at this moment in time. They've both been outstanding. However, these teams have been very, I think, certainly Blackpool were very direct yesterday. It's all played into their hands, really. But I mean, NCR really has surprised me. Again, yesterday, gave away a howler. I think it was first half, and ball broke edge of the box. Who was back there to block it? It was him, so covering up his own mistakes. So he's having a really good season. Wilson sort of quietly efficient, really, isn't he? Just gets
no frills.
No.
I think you could even make the same case about Chambers over Vincent Young at right back.
I was going to say the same, Joe. Yeah,
absolutely.
Stick him at left, but stick Vincent Young at left back. He can play there. I know it's a bit patchy, but it's an option.
I mean, do we know anything about him? It's
a month or so, I think it is.
Away, a month away.
Apparently, a month or so, I think.
Back.
That's what Lambert said on. Yeah, I think that's what Lambert said this week.
Oh, he said it this week. Oh, I didn't see that.
Month or so though, and it's always the or so that is the bit you linger on, isn't it? But I can't see how you at the moment you drop Chambers because he's contributing in both boxes, isn't he, as well?
Anyone moving back inside? So no.
Let's get on to the questions. Obviously, that victory puts Ipswich top of the league, and we'll explain why in the roundup in a bit. But let's go to the questions. David Johnson, who immediately, signs off his tweet by saying no relation to either DJ1 or DJ2, I'm afraid. Joe, what did the team do different at Blackpool compared to MK Dons in David's opinion, I'll say, the latter was arguably a stronger 11? Best regards, David Johnson.
I didn't watch the MK Dons game because I was in a caravan with very limited signal.
Okay.
So
in which case I can reallocate if you wish. Sure.
Yeah, I listened to it on the radio, but it might be best somebody watched the game to say.
Well, MK Dons, I think they've got some amazing possession stats, Dave, but don't convert their chances.
Oh, they knocked it around really well.
They
had no cutting edge. They didn't really have a cutting edge up front. I think they had the guy, was it Morris from, I think he's ex-Norwich or on loan from Norwich maybe. I think he's ex-Norwich. And they just had no real cutting edge. And even, I think Elsie said this last Sunday, even when we went to 10 men, they didn't really, a couple of half chances, but they didn't really,
get beyond this.
Didn't really get beyond it.
You see the stats, and like Dean Lewington and Richard Keogh and another player are like averaging over 90 passes per game. Their three centre-backs are just
very neat and tidy.
Passing the ball between them basically at the moment with a 91% pass completion rate and things. So
stats do lie, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, do we want to give DJ an answer to that one? I think Blackpool clearly. I think there's a confidence issue there. They've had some really lousy results, and I think as soon as the first goal went in, you kind of felt that more could follow, and it just did. Because we've talked about it, we were just ruthless, weren't we?
I think MK had more quality, certainly more quality on the ball. I think it's fair to say that.
They kept the ball, didn't they?
They were passing through us at times, they really were. And again, central defence, NCR and Wilson had really good games again last week.
Yeah.
They were passing through us at will. And also thinking about it last week, I think the Ward injury really disrupted us because poor old Kenlock came on and had a bit of a shocker, didn't he?
That's true,
Got to talk him up. I thought he did well yesterday, considering.
Yeah, I think we've got a question on him in a sec.
Okay.
So hold that thought, Dave. I'll come back to you on that one. Ruth Y. Joe, can anyone explain the enigma of Emma Hughes? How can such a technically gifted player unhit passes and give them away so much? But is he the physical presence needed in an otherwise lightweight midfield? Edwards' defensive support for Kenlock was immense. I agree with that one. Your thoughts, Joe, on the group WhatsApp yesterday was that his under-hit passes, and there was a bit of a kamikaze pass in the second half back to the defence is a fitness thing.
I just think he's just rusty, isn't it? He just does not look back on it as yet, and I think it's going to take him a few games to get going, really. And a lot of his passes were really poor, weren't they? They were sort of under-hit. Sometimes they were just little layoffs to no one, and he really struggled with maybe the pace of the game in there because it was busy in that central midfield. There was three of them, three of us, and they were a decent pressing side. They did get about us quite well, and he just, I don't know. I just think it must be to do with his fitness and the few games he's played. Because you look at Jackson, he came on and he struggled with a bit of passing and movement, and the way the way we're trying to play as a team is real sort of pass and move, quick triangles, quick balls forward. And if you're not match fit, you're not playing, you do struggle with that. And hopefully it is something that he'll improve at over the coming weeks, because we're going to need him.
Yeah. I think his strength was the key, though. Some of those stages in the second half, yes, he'd lost the ball, and yes, passes went astray. But I remember a couple of 3 times in the second half where he held on the ball, he held onto the ball, and there was defend midfield players buzzing around, and you had the physicality to hold them off and pick a pass and stuff. That's important, and I think. Yeah, he didn't have his greatest game, and I agree with Joe. I think it's perhaps just rustiness, because we all know what a class player he is.
And if Downs is missing for a long period of time, he's probably the most similar in that role, in that he can put a foot in there and get on the ball and go both ways with it. So he's going to need to play an important role for us.
And he got 90 minutes in yesterday as well. And we've got a week, so there's a bit of time to rest there as well. We reckon he'll find his mojo again. James Chidwick Day, 4-1. So many injuries to the fit squad. Will be flying. Are we good enough to beat the top teams, Hull, Peterborough, etc.? Will the tactics work against the big clubs? And to your point just before, also well done to Kenlock. Always doubted him. Glad he had a solid game. But your thoughts about when we come up? Well, because we've got a run of fixtures now, starting with Accrington next week against
Accrington. Then we've got Lincoln coming up
teams around it
quickly. Donny, I think, coming up. So time. Yeah, hard to say. Time will tell, really. You'd like to think, as it is a settled formation and the players get more and more used to playing in that formation. And it's great to see. I think we all said at the start of the season, Dazelle, now a regular in the side, and certainly benefiting from it. Again, yesterday, they were you sort of see from a different perspective on the Lancashire commentating again, just sort of almost saying, this kid just love the way he plays, sort of class player, plays, all Rob was saying that, plays with his head up and stuff like that. And Bishop as well, I don't think you underestimate that, giving those two a run, having the opportunity for those two to have runs in the team, it's just gonna benefit us, and I think hopefully we'll all go well against those top 6 sides who we didn't beat at all last season.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we need to get an early win on the board against one of those, don't we? And Dazelle, you're right. I just love watching Dazelle. Even a simple pass out wide, he's elegant. Outside of the boot and all that kind of stuff. You gotta love that.
It's just he just gets it going, doesn't he? Where things
and he turns with the ball as well.
When they slow down, even the 4th goal yesterday, it's sort of playing about the back, then all of a sudden he just clips one to Chambers, which takes up their whole press, and Chambers has got the time to look up, see Edwards, and obviously there was still a hell of a lot to do at that stage, but he gave him a chance to do that, where it was before, it was just sort of slowed down, and he just moves the ball so much quicker than anyone else, one and two touch, and even just in general play, it's just that touch, that extra half second quicker that just knocks the other team's press off, doesn't it, and things like that.
Yeah, and he sticks his boot in, maybe a little bit poorly judged at times, but he does get stuck in there from time to time.
He does. Yeah, let's joke. He can just see the pass, can't he? He sees it before. He's got that
magic eye.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Mark ITFC Joe with Saturday, Tuesday games coming thick and fast now through October. Can we maintain this run with the amount of injuries we have? Do McGavin and Dobra get looking soon? Well, we think Dobra might be off for a loan. What about McGavin? What about Liam Gibbs, I guess?
Yeah, I think one of those will need to be, because like I say, as good as it has been seeing Teddy Bishop play every game, you can't play him Saturday, Tuesday he can't play 5 games in 14 days, which it sort of ends up as, or even potentially more than that. At one point, we've got 3 in a row, haven't we? So we are going to need to, especially certain roles need to be rotated a little bit. Most of them don't. The centre halves don't. The goalkeeper, only a fool would rotate goalkeepers. But like, because even Stephen Ward, he'd missed the Fulham game, he'd missed the Arsenal game, where Chambers had played both of those. So you are probably going to need to, one midweek game, maybe rest Ward. The following midweek game, maybe give Chambers a rest, and just to try and keep things going. But in that central midfield, especially, you're going to need bodies, because they are heavy roles on the legs, the roles that Nolan and Bishop play, getting up and down that pitch. So it is going to be a case that we are going to need to use the sort of 5 that we've got there across those games and use them wisely.
I mean, they are fairly sparing with Bishop, though. I mean, I'm not sure how long did he play for yesterday. Did he go past the hour?
65, wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't far
so
past
that
the hour.
might even be the longest he's played, isn't it? I'm sure he hasn't done a 90, has he? I mean, obviously last week it was like 50 ridiculous, whatever it was, what time last week. But yeah, so they are sort of, I don't know, treating him with kid gloves, I suppose you like to call it. But yeah, at some point he has to play the full 90, I guess. But as Joe said, yeah, he won't be up to playing 5 games in 14 days or whatever. He just can't.
Harry Butcher, Edwards has been a different player this season compared to last. How many goals can he get this season? And does he stay at left wing, guys? Because we've been crying out for it since he joined from Peterborough, because that's apparently where he'd excelled for them. I mean, he's top scorer, one of 3 top scorers in League One. He could be really important for us, couldn't he, Jay?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why he can't stay there, score 15, 16 goals a season. And like Freddie Sears, looks like he probably the last 2 or 3 games he hasn't played as well as he perhaps looked like he was going to. He sort of still has a decent partnership with Ward and doing okay, but I think seeing what Edwards did there sort of has blown him out of the water, really. With I don't know, Sears has maybe lost that yard of pace, which at 31 with the injury he suffered isn't any surprise. But I think if you're looking at seeing which players are cementing their place in the team, I think Guion Edwards on the left wing is probably one of those, and that leaves the right side for Judge, Jack Lancaster, Keenan Bennett. One of those 3 can play on that right hand side there, and sort of Freddie might need to back up Edwards for a bit.
I liked the look of Keenan Bennett when he came on. He cut in on his left foot and curled one just wide of the post. So I think there's a goal threat there, definitely.
Yep. Yeah.
Another one from Run Fight Ball Run, but Andrew. I'd always struggle with that Twitter handle, but Andrew, we'll go with Andrew. Just because you mentioned him just now, Dave, thoughts on Judge's game? Thought he was a lot more disciplined and influenced the game more rather than running around like a headless chicken trying to get the ball from everywhere. Think it helps having Chamber behind him, but he also put in a really good kind of 20-minute, 30-minute spell in central midfield as well. He dropped back into the midfield 3, didn't he, yesterday? Your thoughts on Judge? Because we've been a little bit critical of his contribution, haven't we?
No, I think he was. I think, as we said, I think he was a lot more disciplined yesterday. Held his position far better, and also when he moved inside again, he was putting his foot in. I think I even saw him win a couple of headers, for Christ's sake. So. I think he's always been much maligned because so much was expected of him. A player coming with a big reputation. Obviously had the awful injury, which effectively put him out for 18 months maybe. But no, and more experience. Because relatively, sitting in there with Dazelle, still 21 he is now, but still relatively inexperienced. And really good to see him absolutely produce yesterday, I thought.
And might end up being a central midfielder if Nolan's out for a little bit longer, perhaps.
Well, I think if Bishop is the one that needs to be managed, and you need a midfielder who's going to be the furthest forward of the 3 and get involved, then Judge is probably the man that suits that role best.
Mm-hmm. Joe, Adam Fajani, when/if Vincent Young comes back, we talked about this. It's just like I've asked this question. Should he play at left back? Chambers too good to drop, especially if Ward out for a while. What do we think about this one? I think it's more if at the moment, isn't it? But Chambers too good to drop, isn't it? We've kind of already talked about this one, haven't we? But
at the moment,
just want to hear it again.
I don't see how you can drop him at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see Luke Chambers as a championship right back, but certainly League One more than comfortable.
Which is what we hope for.
I think we've said over the pods recently that the ideal scenario for this season is Chambers is phased out of the team for Enciala by the end of it, because Enciala's earned the right to play.
Vincent Young or Enciala?
Well, this is what we've been saying previously.
Centre-back, sorry.
Chambers starts the season, but probably Enciala hopefully finishes it by earning the right to, because he's 7 years younger and does it well. Maybe Chambers is now right back, and we see Vincent Young take over from him over the course of the season, because leading into next season. But like I said, it shouldn't really be any surprise that Chambers is doing well at right back in League One when he's played 800 games in the Football League and played in a team that's got in the top 6 in the Championship at right back. It shouldn't be a surprise that he can cope there at League One.
And he clearly, Joe, he looks after himself, doesn't he? Looks after himself, does the proper stuff, trains well. Yeah, you can see it. I
spoke to someone who said that when sort of the fitness tests are done, he's sort of in the top 3 or 4 in sort of every test at the club. He is still mega fit. He still wants to play on after this season.
It's a credit to himself, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's credit.
5 years old, and he doesn't look it, does he, when you sort of see him play?
You know, and a lot of people, me included, at centre backs, written him off in the past, but no, fair play, done absolutely excellently well.
Yeah, and I love that evolution point as well, Joe. You know, I really like the idea of NC plays through the season and has kind of got those ricks out of his game. Vincent Young gets fit. You know, that's a really nice progressive evolution, which is the kind of stuff that I remember Ben talking about it last season. We just didn't do, did we? I mean, it was more we sold players and ended up having a void of a position. But you want those players coming through, don't you? Coming in.
Well, the good teams have the replacements in before the players leave, and I know
be that a retirement, Joe, or a transfer.
Yeah. Either way, yeah. But I know that's extremely difficult at the moment because at the end of this season we've got nearly the whole team out of contract and we can't really do anything because of the salary cap at the moment. But ultimately we've got a squad there where you should be able to say who is got the shirt, who is going to have the shirt in 2 years' time, and where you need to strengthen, really.
Dave, a question from Dave Strang: is Lambert the Messiah again? Short and sweet.
Well, he is at the moment. Yeah, certainly is at the moment, isn't he?
Well, I'll ask that question maybe in November.
Yeah, after these tricky few games coming up the rest of October.
Let me ask you this one.
He's doing what he should have done last year.
Exactly right. It feels like maybe we're contributing even though, you know, all of the things we could have said. It's probably just worth...
Avid listener.
Exactly right. Chucking into the mix that we rearranged a fixture for the international breaks, and look what happens. We bloody win it rather than postponing it and shoving it to Tuesday and losing that in a few weeks' time. So
crazy.
I'll ask you this. It's just a hat trick of Dave's here. Dave Gort. Dave, I'll ask you this one as well. The most pleasing thing that was we followed up last week's poor showing with a much improved display this time out. It would have been very worrying if we put in two tepid performances in a row. Maybe shows the MK was the exception and therefore a point gained, and maybe there's some truth in that.
Well, ultimately, last 20 minutes, it was certainly a point game, wasn't it? Because we said this a few minutes ago, they didn't really create, but it was sort of backs to the wall and very little possession. So we did, we saw that out quite well. That's a game last season. I know it's a cliche, but we'd have lost that game last season, particularly, after November, probably in December and January, we'd have lost that game. So we saw the game out, got a point, and just kept positivity going into yesterday.
Mullet, Joe, Chambers' goal was a beauty and he cupped his ear rather than put his fingers in them. Was he asking for praise, having earlier shown he was blocking out the criticism? What can we interpret from such actions? There's a lot of Twitter angst about this one. I thought the yesterday's one by Chamber, just to get your thoughts, was mocking the home end at Blackpool, who had been quite mercilessly taunting us and celebrating their last minute win about 8 months ago. But your thoughts on these celebrations, Joe? Because people are talking about it. I guess we have to as well.
I don't think there's really much to say on them, is there? I think it's I think it's
say something.
Banter amongst the players, isn't it? I think they probably see all the stuff that gets said about them and just have a little laugh amongst themselves, and when they score a goal just do silly things like, I don't know, all the players talk about, you don't want to, they should be doing this to the fans. Well, Dobra scores on Tuesday night or Wednesday night against Gillingham, really good goal, and he runs away shushing the fans, and it's what criticism has he had? None. Yeah. So he does his shush. I do think there's just an element of this plan behind closed doors that they see all the Premiership players doing fingers in their ears, cupped ears, silence, sort of fingers to their lips, and it means sweet FA. Generally.
Yes. Dave, as long as we're winning, they can. As long as the celebrations are family friendly, do what they want.
Give it a toss.
That's what we say. Yeah. Maybe worried less about that, I think, is the message from at least this part of Blue Monday. I'm sure we don't speak for everyone, but I honestly thought it was a bit of a piss take, and I quite liked it myself. But
more love, less hate is what I say.
Exactly right. Straight from the captain's Instagram, that. Guys, thank you for all the questions. There's a few that are repeated and a few kind of similar themes. So if we didn't read yours out, it's no slight on the question. Just we're also running pretty much on time, so I want to kind of get things back on track. So thank you for the questions. It really does help shape the conversation. Let's go to the roundup very quickly. Just a few results I wanted to pick out specifically. Friday night we found out that Hull City are maybe not as good as they're cracked up to be. 4-1 defeat to Fleetwood. Is that I want to hear from Dave. I haven't heard one of these for a while. Fleetwood great or Hull crap, Dave?
You know, I've thought long and hard about this. I think possibly a bit of both.
Yep, thank you.
This is the same. Just like I say, we've had all this talk about how the teams we beat at the start of the season were all rubbish, and that's why we had a good start. Rochdale beat Fleetwood. Fleetwood beat Hull.
Yeah,
Bristol Rovers drew at Sunderland. Bristol Rovers beat Lincoln yesterday. Yeah. Wigan beating Doncaster. Wigan are beating Portsmouth. I don't know. Like I say, maybe those teams we played at the start of the season weren't all that bad.
So you're telling me there's a chance we might beat one of them, Joe. Also interesting to hear. I mean, I've kind of highlighted this one more for Oxford, but I'm totally in the streaky Carl Robinson camp here. Gillingham 3, Oxford 1. Gillingham up to 4th, gents. Which
Super
is
Steve Evans.
Super Steve Evans at it again. Also a team that you perhaps wouldn't expect to see in the top 6. Accrington 2, Rochdale 1. Next weekend's opponents. Good win for Accrington. I don't think they've beaten Rochdale in the league at home in 60 years or something. So clearly a good.
Sounds like us and Norwich.
It's been 60 years.
Can you imagine?
The result that put us top, as well as the Hull defeat, Lincoln 1, Bristol Rovers 2. Who saw that one coming? Ackerbuster, that one, wasn't it? Northampton 0, Peterborough 2. So Peterborough nicely up into the top 6 as well. Elsewhere, Crewe 3, Wigan 0. Wigan have got 6 points on the board, but that's a bit of a confidence knocker. Plymouth 2, Burton 0. Plymouth just outside the top 6. Pompey, Kenny Jackett keeps his job for another week. 2-1 winners over MK Dons. And also an interesting result here. Swindon 0, AFC Wimbledon 1. So Swindon's early season wins that got them near the top of the league. We're starting to see maybe them plateau off a little.
That guy, I saw the EFL. That guy Piggott scored again. Have they scored something like 9 goals, and he's had involvement in he scored 6 and had involvement in 2 of the others or something ridiculous.
Informed striker.
One-man team. Yeah.
And I think a lot of other teams, Sunderland, Charlton, had weekends off. I think for the international break. So who remembers those? Don't need them. Don't need them. And that's it, guys. That is it. Next up, as I mentioned, Accrington Stanley. Who are they? At Portman Road, which means I don't have to pay for my iFollow next week. I get a code to fill out as well. Midweek live show, that will happen at some point. I think Ben will be in the hot seat for that one. And next week, driving the pod from the host's chair will be Mikey Penty-Smith. Guys, do you want to do any plugs, any Twitter bits and pieces, any other stuff you want to mention?
I was just going to do a quick shout for my mate and Joe knows him well, Pat Lewis, who's has now become the executive or one of the executives of the Kevin Beattie Foundation.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's great news. What does that? Do you know what that's involved in that?
Yeah, it's charitable stuff. I've been really trying to support all charities, particularly motor neurone, and I think MS, which I think his wife suffers with, I believe. So particularly those 2 charities, and probably should give a mention also to Malcolm Thompson, who completed his epic walk from Carlisle to Portman Road, I think yesterday.
Not the greatest conditions for him the last few weeks, has it been?
No, not the bits and pieces I saw. I think he was met by Emma, I think Kevin Beattie's daughter, I think at Portman Road, which was a nice touch. But probably. I mean, I'll speak a bit more to at some point and
exclusive interview
info. But maybe so. But he was pleased to do that because obviously tiny bit younger than me, but grew up together. Was a ball boy at Portman Road through the late 70s and stuff like that. So very close to his heart as it would be mine.
Knows his stuff. And Dave, we might have something beat related for people to see in the next few weeks at some point.
I know you've been working on a little montage based on my tribute that I did a couple of years ago, obviously when the great man passed away. So I mean, we spoke about that. Joe might have some insight on this. Joe, any news on the unveiling of the statue that we wouldn't necessarily know about?
I think it should already be done, really. I think it was planned to have been done around the start of this season. As far as I'm aware, it's all finished. All the planning is in with the council. Right. We know what's happening with it, but obviously it's just been put on hold because of COVID. And if there's no fans this season, maybe it will be part of the promotion-winning celebration.
There you go.
Yeah.
How epic would that be? My
So
God.
maybe really
when we line the streets in a socially distant manner.
2 metres apart.
When they're on the socially distanced open-top bus.
In our Blue Monday face masks and all that.
Everyone's standing in their own little square on the Cornhill.
Exactly right. Lovely stuff. Joe, any exciting things? Any academy stuff happening this week? Or
No, it's an international break. It generally stops. I saw
course.
the under-16s beat Crystal Palace 7-1 yesterday. There seems a very talented year group there, under-16s. There's a few players there scoring a lot of goals.
There's a couple of bits of content that will happen, and we don't know when. We just want to tease. One is me and Joe are going to face off for our top 5. Is it Ipswich home and away kits? Now you've completed your collection, Joe.
Yeah, I heard this. You're going to do a sort of bit of a catwalk show, aren't you, or something? Is that right? Did I hear properly? You're going to sort of mince. You two are going to there's going to be a Blue Monday catwalk, and you two are going to mince, are you?
Blue Steel.
Right? It's Zoolander free.
It is, exactly right. Blue Lander free.
Joe, fair play, Joe. Didn't you complete your collection, did I see earlier?
Yeah, I've got every shirt which has been released back to 89. Well, basically, since I've been going, I've got every shirt now which has been released. There's still 3 third shirts I haven't got, which I'm trying my best to get hold of, but not really wanting to open the wallet to such an extent.
I was
thinking when you were going through all these shirts a few years back, I had a match worn, and I've got the black. How can I describe it? The Richard Wright Blackburn away cup tie shirt.
Yes.
I've got the Richard Wright game. You know the
green and maroon one.
Yeah. You got. I assume you've got that one tucked away somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a match worn. Say match worn, a substitute shirt, which I think was, I believe it was Neil Gregory's, but I can't 100% sure on that. But anyway, I haven't got it anymore. So
they're worth quite a lot of money now.
I just sort of throw that one in. Yeah, I know. Probably
triple figures that one. If it's got the badges on it as well, never mind.
Yeah, it had.
Never mind. But so we'll keep a lookout for that. And also, Football Manager's coming out mid-November, 21st of November it is, I think. So last year we did a bit of a chat with Joe about what you can expect for the Ipswich Town team. So we'll also do one of those, maybe as a live show in the weeks leading up to the release of that one. So 2 things to keep an eye on there. All the details about what we're doing this week and the coming few weeks at Blue Monday RTFC on Twitter, at Blue Monday Pods Team on Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook as well, Blue Monday Podcast, I think it is on there. Give us a follow. Guys, that is it. Thank you so much for your time and your insight as always. Who wants to have the final word to say goodbye?
Thanks, Rich. Superb. Upper Town.
Please listen carefully to any messages and follow the instructions given.